Happy 4th of July. 250 years since the Declaration of Independence was signed. What an incredible thing that is. And I want to talk a little bit about what the Declaration of Independence really means, what it means to me, and what it can mean to you in your own life. Whether you're a citizen of this country or any other country in the world, what does it mean to declare independence? And what are things that you can declare independence of in your own life? Challenges and problems that you see that you can help resolve. Because you are just like the Founding Fathers. The amazing thing that I find about the people who signed this is they were just men. They were no more special than any one of us. They grew up in a place where things were hard, where they worked for their food, where they, whatever profession it was, they just woke up in the morning and got things done just like you do. They wore shoes, they wore clothes, they did all the things that you do too. Just the culture might have been a little different back then. So what can you learn from the Declaration of Independence? One of the first things that I like to point out is the war, the Revolutionary War, the fight against Great Britain actually started over a year before this was signed. And it didn't end for another 7+ years in September of 1783. The whole war took about 8.5 years. This was signed near the beginning, but then they still had to fight for what they declared. And that is true for everything we have to fight for in our lives too. Don't expect just because you said something's going to happen, that it happens immediately. You're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to keep working for it, as we can see here. You're going to have to make sacrifices, as the people of this country did here. So let's talk a little bit about what they declared independence from and why. Of course, many people recognize this line of the second paragraph that says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." But it goes on. There's a lot more in this document. I invite you to all read it, but I want to point out a few of the things here at the beginning. The very first thing it says, "When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them to another, or rather, when it comes to happen that this people who's connected to that people needs to separate for some reason, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them." Equal station. He's saying these people are equals. "A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation." He's saying, look, sometimes it happens that people have to separate for some reason. And it's a good idea to tell you why. They're declaring here that they're separating themselves from Great Britain and why. So the next paragraph, we already started here, about the unalienable rights. But there's more. If we skip down past the part I already read. "That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." It was their belief, the Founding Fathers' belief, that governments existed to protect these rights. These rights were given by God, not by men, not by the government. The government was created to protect the exercise of these rights that men already have. And when we say men here, English doesn't have a neutral, so men means men and women, all peoples. All people were born with the unalienable rights given by God above. And it is up to us to protect those rights. Government is an institution of people, instituted by people. People choose who governs, either by allowing a bad government to continue, by taking no action. That is a choice. You're taking no action against that corrupt government. Or by taking action like they did here to create a government that would protect their unalienable rights. That is what's so powerful about this. They recognized that these rights came from God, and they had to do something about it to keep those rights protected. So they say that a government exists to protect those rights. And if there's a government that becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall most be likely to affect their safety and happiness. If the old government's got a problem and it's not doing its job to protect the rights of the people have the right to institute a new government. Because guess what? Every single one of us, every single human being on this planet is a son and a daughter of God, given rights by that God. And it is up to them to live their lives according to God's design for them, not what other people want for them. And that is something that I found so powerful in the last few years of my life. I've come to discover that everything everyone's ever told me to do, like go to school and get good grades and sit and stand in line properly and sit still in class and all those things, there's a lot of good in all of that. But you have to be careful not to become a robot. You have to be careful not to just do everything everyone else tells you to do. As a society, we need to come together peacefully so we can get along and so we can help each other out. But that doesn't mean we all have to do exactly the same thing for exactly the same amount of time and for exactly the same amount of pay or just all these things. Equality does not mean sameness. We are all treated with the same amount of love and respect for each other. That is what true equality means. We can be different, but love and respect each other as our Heavenly Father and His Son Jesus Christ loved us so much that Jesus came to this earth to die for us. And that is what these people believed. They signed the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence and later the Constitution, based on that belief, based on the belief that we have these rights from God. And it is up to us to act to protect those rights from other people who would steal those rights from us, who would take control. Now, you might be of the belief as I am that Satan is the enemy of our souls, the enemy of God. We all know that God will win. He will be victorious. We are here for a test. That is my belief. We're here to be tested, whether we're going to choose the winning side or not, whether we're going to be pulled away by temptation, that Satan's lies try to tell us that there's these other good things in the world. Let me put there we go, the flag back in focus there. Satan's trying to distract us from the things that are most important. So God's letting us have a chance to learn, to grow. And guess what? He knew we'd make mistakes, and that's why He sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to die for us, to pay for those sins. Someone had to take those sins so that we could be forgiven. God is just and merciful. Just means He cannot let us break laws, but He's merciful, so He's willing to forgive us. But someone needs to pay for those sins. So, getting back to the Declaration of Independence, they declare that they don't believe the government of Great Britain, the King, has been doing its job. They go on and then list quite a few things that I'm not going to read, but I invite you to read them, about their laws and taxes and all sorts of things. Even involves getting attacked by the Indians. And there's a lot of things here that if you look at that and go, yeah, I think I agree. Things weren't going well for them. But instead of just complaining about it, as they had been for a while, trying to get the government to fix things, they decided it was time for them to take action and take responsibility for their own lives, right? And act for themselves, which is what God wants us to do. He doesn't want us revolting against our governments every year. No, I'm not saying that. But if there's something in your life that needs to be done, don't complain about it. Do something about it. We were given the ability to make things happen because we are sons and daughters of God. And that's what they did here. And that's what makes the spirit of the American people, rooted in this document, so incredibly powerful. It's not about that flag. It's not about this country. It's about the belief in the unalienable rights given by God for all of us to live the lives that we were meant to live as individuals and as a society and as a people, children and sons and daughters of God. It doesn't matter where you come from. It just so happens that here a place was prepared for people to come together with the right beliefs in place to create the government that would protect those rights and then spread those ideas around the world. Now, there's a lot we will not get into today about how it spread around the world, but the Constitution of the United States was the first one like it, and now I've forgotten the numbers, but the vast majority of countries around the world have something to the effect similar to the Constitution that the United States have. I truly believe that God inspired the work. Is it a perfect document? No. It was written by men, but it was inspired by God through the lives of those men. They believed in God. They believed in a greater purpose. And through that greater purpose, through those beliefs, they wrote something that would change the course of human history. And that is what's so incredible about the 4th of July. It's not just about this people and this American flag, which, by the way, came about a year later. So we'll have to make a happy birthday celebration for 250 years for that in about a year. But this document isn't just about the people who signed it. It's about what they believed and what it represented. And you, even if your name isn't on that document, can have the same mindset. You can have the same belief. You can make changes in your own life the same way those men did. Not to mention all the other men and women involved in the Declaration of Independence and getting it to happen, and the Constitution and the whole Revolutionary War. The whole country was involved. Not just the people who signed that document, but they were willing to stand up and represent those men, the rest of the men and women of the country at the time. They put their names on the line. They literally put their names on the line. If someone were to be executed, if the British won, it would be these men. They were going to die for their freedom or die for the revolution they caused. They were willing to do that because they believed so hard in it. Now, I'm not inviting you to go out and die for something. I want you to go out and live for something. Find out what it is you were meant to do. It might take you a while, but go try things. Stop spending so much time sitting around the couch. And trust me, I'm just as guilty as many people are. Don't let yourself fall into just sitting on the couch, scrolling on TikTok or Twitter or X. I still can't call it X. It's an old habit. Whatever it is that you spend your time doing that isn't your calling, that is the thing that's holding you back. Now, it's not always easy, but declare independence. What I invite you today to do is on this day, whatever day it is that you're viewing this, declare your independence from whatever it is holding you back. For these men, it was Great Britain, it was the king. They didn't agree with the way he was doing things, and they wanted their own governance to protect their rights. What is it in your life that you want to change? It may be a fight. It may not be easy. It may take you 8.5 years of bloody, tearful sacrifice. But it will be worth it. If you do the hard things now, life will be easier later. If you do the easy thing now, the hard things will become. It will be harder later. There's a great graphic. I should have drawn it out and had it here to show. But I saw this online and I really loved it. The idea is that if you have a starting place here and you want to get up here, if you take the easy way down first, you now have farther up to go on a steeper trajectory to still get to that end. But if you just start going up the whole time, yeah, you might be doing the hard bit from the beginning, but overall it's a lot less hard and it evens out at the end. Choose to do the hard things now. So much about our life today makes things easy and is a wonderful blessing. I'm so grateful to the God in heaven that put me on the earth in these days when so many good things, such as this phone that I'm recording this video on, exist. I can call my family from halfway across the planet and instantly see how my kids are doing, even though, they're off in Brazil with their mom. Whatever it is, right? I can see them and talk to them and do those things because of this wonderful technology. But Satan also knows all the terrible things that are instantly accessible because of this technology. It doesn't even have to be terrible. It just has to be less than the best. Watching movies, watching YouTube videos, whatever it is. It could be educational content. Something about the history of this country. Good things. But is it truly inspiring you? Is it helping you become the best person you can be? So again, declare your independence from what it is that's holding you back. Figure out who you want to be. It doesn't matter what the world's telling you to be. Be a good person. Don't go out and steal stuff. That's not the sort of thing I'm asking you to do. Figure out what you think God was meant for you. Because you have a purpose. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. The color of your skin, the color of your hair, the length of your hair, whatever it is, if you come from a poor family or a rich family, Whether you were poor and you're now rich, or you were rich and you're now poor, whatever's happened in your life, there's a reason for it. So, you may already be thinking, but I've been looking and I don't know. That's the whole thing. I don't know who I'm meant to be. I know. I know how that feels. And honestly, I think I'm still figuring it out. But once I realized that I don't have to have it all figured out right now, I have a whole life for that. It's so good. I'll have to talk some more another time about putting today and tomorrow, because I have so many more thoughts on that as well. Just this week, I realized so much of what I do is I put off today's things until tomorrow, and I worry about tomorrow's problems today. And it's completely backwards. And that just makes everything the worst. Worry about today, let tomorrow come. There's a fun little idea that I had where you imagine you're going up these stones. If you do them in the right order, you'll get to the top. If you just look at them and go, oh, that's too tall. It's too much. Well, if you think about what's coming in 20, 30 years, it might be too much for today's version of you to handle. But if every single day between now and 20, 30 years from now, you make the small steps to climb up your way to that point, you'll just be ready when it comes. So, take the small step. You don't have to figure out who you're meant to be today. You just have to make the decision to figure out who you're meant to be and take the first step there. The Declaration of Independence wasn't even the first step. The war started over a year before then. But that was the day they decided they were going to make it official. Make that day today. Whatever it is you've been struggling with, you've been struggling already. We all have those struggles. But make today the day that you sit down and you put on a piece of paper and you date it and you declare your independence from your problems and you sign that document and look back in 7 or 8 years and see what you've accomplished. God bless America, the land of the free. That flag represents not a nation, but a belief. Go out and believe it. Whether that flag is flying over your house or not, wherever it is you are in the world, you are a son or daughter of God, and you have those unalienable rights, and you have the power to make change in your life. And through your life and the lives of those in your community, you can change the world one step at a time. God bless America. God bless this world. God bless every one of you.